Hi, my name is Phil and it is way past my bedtime, but I've got Rage 2 to play. Welcome to First Hour Reviews. Are you ready to rage, Josie? Ow, great. Good job, that was a toy knife. Hi and welcome to First Hour Reviews. My name is Phil. I am a tired, viciously time-restricted father who just wants to play the latest video games solely based on their opening 60 minutes. And why is that? Well, that's because of my little co-presenter here, my naughty and quite frankly dirty, a little bit sicky co-presenter, especially today, Josie. Say hello, Josie. Oh, almost said a first word there, I think. But she keeps me up most nights, and all my spare time and attention, quite rightly, should be directed at her. But when I do get a bit of me time, especially after she's been put to bed and fed, I get about 60 minutes of time on the PlayStation before I myself pass out due to exhaustion. So if you are in a similar position, then you may find these reviews helpful because with time so precious, are these brand new games worth that little time you have? Episode 4, Rage 2. Ow! I've been incredibly excited about this game and equal parts intrigued because, as Josie will tell you, it's a franchise that was believed to have been dead and buried, and it was only about 8 years old, I think, the first one. So, why did they bring back this game, and is this brand new change in direction the right one it should have gone in? So, it's especially seeing how well Doom did. I'm very curious as to how the gunplay transitions from something typically suffocating like Doom into something much more open world and, well, insane. So let's see if insanity rules, as it says on the back of the box. Let's see if that applies. But before we do get into the review... I'm sorry, Josie, we've got a little bit of admin to do because before we do get into that review, let's see how we got here in the first place. Responsible for the creation of the now ubiquitous first-person shooter genre, Texas-born ID Software's first major success was in 1992 with the infamous Wolfenstein 3D. Upon swapping out Nazis for bloodthirsty aliens, the studio went on to create the title that would not only popularise PC gaming forever, but is arguably one of the most important video games ever produced, 1993's legendary Doom. Over the course of the following 18 years, and a cheeky buyout from Bethesda's parent company ZeniMax, ID Software continued to innovate and truly define the fundamentals of the first-person shooter. It was all well and good mastering their craft, but they were craving something more, a somewhat unnecessary and risky move considering the critically acclaimed franchises they already had in their back pockets. 2011 saw the release of Rage, ID's most daring launch to date, and in hindsight easily one of the most overlooked titles of the previous generation, taking their trademark suffocating, up-close and personal gunplay and dropping it into a sparse, post-apocalyptic open world had all the signs of an early grave for the studio. However, due to the almost 2 decades of maniacal refinement and soul-searching, Rage was a monumental hit amongst fans and critics worldwide. Sure, the gunplay mechanics were incredible, the world was wonderfully psychotic, and even the driving wasn't bad, but sadly the bland and unoriginal narrative is how the game was remembered by. When the dust and the bullets settled, it seemed that the once promising Rage franchise was dead and buried, particularly when ID returned in 2016 with the incredible and rightly rejuvenated Doom, arguably proving that the studios can be better off sticking to their literal guns and what they do best. But that doesn't mean that another team can't have a crack at it, right? Spoiled by Walmart and marketed by Andrew WK, Rage 2 was announced in 2018 amongst a sea of rapturous applause, pleasing intrigue, and bemused what the hex. Working alongside the guys and gals at Avalanche Studios, the minds behind the ludicrously violent and explosively Just Cause franchise, ID Software seems to have succumbed to fan desires and expectations following Doom's reception. So they took the rabid dog off the reins and allowed it to cause some vibrant, unadulterated, tongue-in-cheek fun. But is this chaotic, daft, but self-aware makeover a step in the right direction for the franchise? Was letting another team loose on the idea a good idea? And just how hard does Andrew WK like to party? Load up that settle a pistol, Josie. There's some faces needing bullets. For the most part, I was insanely excited to dive into Rage 2, however that level of excitement can occasionally come with a feeling of pessimistic intrigue. As good as the studios involved can be, is this once forgotten, outlandishly wacky first-person shooter really the right franchise to reboot? The short answer, my god yes. The long answer is as follows. Despite the majority of its marketing being based around this hyperactive, Mad Max on acid approach, Rage 2 actually starts in a very similar fashion to its 2011 predecessor, a somewhat serious Doom-like bullet orgy. Still reeling from his altercation with Wasteland legend Nicholas Rain, Bumblebee wannabe General Cross is back to make his dreams of a mutant-ravished world a post-apocalyptic reality. You control one of two eager-to-please rangers, who, due to the death of your commanding officer and foster parent, causes you to set off into the vast desert, stop the evil authority at all costs, and unearth the superpowered vaults and chests that harbour the strength to change the course of history. Naturally. After the first brutal yet tame in comparison opening 10 minutes, Rage 2 very quickly becomes that chaotic, fast-paced, magnificent mess the trailers got you prepared for. With 3 opposing missions in 3 opposing regions at your disposal, from the off, Rage 2 isn't shy from allowing you to explore their huge map at your leisure, rather than immediately throwing you into a limited, linear experience. In between the game's main story missions, you'll come face to face with a wonderfully varied array of challenges and side quests, often, or rather almost always, in the form of explosions, waves of goons, or waves of exploding goons. Whether you're tasked with blowing up deadly control towers, desert racing, or storming an oil refinery like a mad bastard, the sheer excitement and glorious execution of the game's gunplay will certainly keep that grin firmly attached to your face. For a studio that pioneered the modern-day first-person shooter, it's no surprise to find just how incredibly fluid and beautiful Rage 2's gunplay comes together. No doubt refined with the company's latest Doom reboot, ID have literally blown all competitors out the water and thrown the rulebook in their faces at extreme, explosive speeds. Regardless of how many enemies are gunning for you, Rage 2 never suffers or dares to slow down, upping its level of carnage at every possible opportunity. Rage 2 allows you to move around every battlefield with pure, uninterrupted grace, and the tremendous satisfaction you get from whipping something out and devastating everyone and everything within range makes this simply one of the most enjoyable and incredibly well designed first-person shooters I've ever had the pleasure of playing. Where Rage 2 really ups the ante is by incorporating not only ludicrous weaponry into your arsenal, but also wonderfully daft abilities that'll see you dodging, smashing, and blowing enemies away with a simple wave of your hand. Being a ranger not only comes with great responsibility, but the ability to unlock ancient treasure troves called arcs, which when ventured inside will see you either unlock a powerful new skill or a unique weapon that'll make storming hideouts a literal blast. In the first hour I unlocked the dodge, the combat shotgun and the shatter ability, with the latter making you feel like a Jedi as you hurl goons into their impending crimson coloured doom. Rage 2 allows its players to continue experimenting with every tool and gun at their disposal, making it a sheer joy for players to explore in hopes to unlock in more, or just a hoot for those that revel in defining and evolving their own unique brand of carnage. Story-wise, first impressions aren't terribly enthusiastic. However, that being said, I highly doubt that will be the reason you'll see this game through to the end. Much like Beauty and the Beast, the threat of a narcissistic, genetically modified general wanting to unleash his selfish visions onto the world with a plucky young white American standing in his way is certainly a tale as old as time, so I do hope that the otherwise ridiculous, crude and self-aware attitude around it will influence its continuing direction. With all that said, however, I must commend ID for continuing to tell the story they seemingly wrapped up last time round, instead of just going around that generic ignore what happened last time plotline that happens far too often nowadays. Persisting with a brand they are obviously very proud of, and just playing with the way that it's told is by far the best move the studios could have done, which if anything fills me with confidence that everything within Rage 2, including the story, will all come together beautifully. Why? Well, because of the admirable faith and love everyone involved clearly has for the success of this game. So just before myself and Josie pass out, because it's been a very busy day, let's give you our final thoughts. Well, I mean, right off the bat, Rage 2 is insanely good. I think insane was exactly the right word that they've based their marketing on, because it's such good fun. It's stupid, it's crude, it's so strangely self-aware, but you know what, it's a perfect combination of just open world madness and mayhem and superb, wonderfully refined gunplay. It's absolutely fantastic. Would you like to hold this box for Daddy? No, you'd like to hold the curtain, obviously, because that's all kids want these days. Yeah. Rage 2 is the kind of game where they've thrown everything into a blender and hoped for the best. You know, they've gone, let's do some good driving with the guys from Just Cause who have perfected driving in an open world, explosive environment at least. Why don't we get all this explosive gunplay from the masters of explosive gunplay? And let's throw in a bit of terror and suspense, because the same team do that as well. And you know what? Well, it's curtains for anyone else, because Rage 2, I think, is the perfect game, and, well, not perfect game, but, you know, perfect first-person shooter. Well, thank you very much for joining us for our latest video. I hope you enjoyed it. I know Josie certainly did. Look at her. She's insane. So I don't know what our next review will be, but do follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook to find out exactly when we do. Josie, how can they find us on Instagram, baby? That is absolutely right. On Instagram, we are First Hour Games. We're also the same on Twitter, aren't we? First Hour Games. And on Facebook, we're the same. First Hour Games on Facebook. Wow, if you've never watched one of our videos before, trust me, they're not all as mental and chaotic as this. But hey, when you're reviewing Rage 2, it's quite apt. Well, there we go. I've been Phil. She's not been terribly well behaved. But what can I expect? She's been succumbed to the world of Rage. Okay, you little goon. Let's put you into bed. Put you into bed. Put you in the bath. Put you in the bed. Whatever. Let's get rid of you, eh? Farewell.